If you have ever had the thought when thinking about rental properties that I would love rental properties if I didn't have to deal with tenants, or if you own rental properties and you are just tired of consistent headaches with tenants, you have to check out this video because in a short amount of time, I'm going to show you 3 key teachings so that you can alleviate those tenant headaches and build a big portfolio. All right, everybody, welcome. Today, I have a massive tip for you related to property management. So how do you alleviate problems with your tenants? So many property owners struggle with tenant headaches or just consistent problems dealing with tenants. And I know for me, when I was at about 45 doors, I did not want any more properties because I just saw it as more headaches that I would have from more tenants. So here is a 3-step process to reducing your tenant problems. So all tenant problems basically boil down to one of 3 issues. Either one, you don't have a consistent system for handling tenants and property management. Number 2, you have a system, but the tenants don't know the system or how they're supposed to react to within the system. Or number 3, the tenants know the system, but they don't want to abide by it. Okay, so if you think back, every issue you've had with a tenant is going to boil down to one of those 3 things. So the solution, how do we resolve it? It's one thing to know the problem, it's another thing to solve the problem. So the solution is, number 1, if you don't have a system, clearly define your property management system from A to Z, from your first interaction with an applicant to your last interaction when a tenant moves out. Have it a very systematic process so that it runs the same way with every tenant, and it runs the same way whether it is you following the process or an assistant following the process or an employee or whoever is following that process. It should be that the tenant gets the exact same feedback from any person they deal with, and every tenant gets the same feedback. That's your key criteria. So if you don't have that system in place, go ahead, make a list of all your interactions, all your processes, and be very clear on exactly how you're going to handle each step. So number 2, you already have your system. You've developed this system. You have a great property management system, but you're still having issues. You need to teach your tenants the system. So that's called tenant training. So figure out how, from your first interaction, you can begin training those tenants to basically follow the rules within your property management, because each owner or property manager is different. And so you don't want headaches from a tenant who this behavior that they used to do with their old property manager was fine, and now the new behavior, they don't understand why it's causing you headaches or why you're angry. So develop your tenant training system so that you can teach them about your property management system and how they should follow it, how they should work within it so that there are no headaches for them or you. All right. Number 3, if you have this clear, concise system and you've trained your tenants how they should follow it, and you are still having tenant problems, then that means you have tenants that don't want to follow your system. So you can either penalize them, right? There are plenty of ways to penalize problem tenants with fees or making life difficult, I guess, helping to escort them on, or you just need to get a new tenant. So, and there are many tenants out there who are not your ideal tenant, and that's okay. If they have already moved into your property, then you need to figure out a way to help escort them out so they can be a blessing to some other owner. But a lot of this will come down to the screening process and your ability to screen within the application process as to whether they would be a good tenant to work with. So if you can do those three things, that will alleviate a vast majority of your tenant problems. Number one, have a clear system. Number two, train your tenants how to go along with the system. And number three, fill your units with your ideal tenant. All right, hope that helps. Go out there, get it done, build your dream life one door at a time.